In December 1968, the Rolling Stones gathered a star-studded lineup for a one-of-a-kind show, the Rock and Roll Circus. Picture this, a circus tent, packed with rock legends like John Lennon, The Who, Jethro Tull, and more. But surprisingly, this show remained shelved for nearly 30 years before it was finally released. Want to know why? Stick around and discover this fascinating story. It all began in 1968. The Rolling Stones, at the peak of their fame, were looking for an innovative way to promote their new album, Beggar's Banquet. They wanted something beyond the usual concerts or press appearances. Enter director Michael Lindsay Hogg with an unconventional idea. Turn the album's promotion into a circus-themed spectacle. Imagine clowns, fire eaters, and the biggest bands of the era sharing the stage. Crazy? Maybe. But it was the kind of ambitious project only the Rolling Stones could pull off. The concept didn't come out of nowhere. Pete Townshend of The Who had already discussed a similar idea with Edward Monk, one of the engineers behind the legendary Woodstock Festival. They envisioned a traveling show blending music and theater under circus tents. Mick Jagger expanded on this vision, transforming it into a unique event filmed for television. The stage would replicate a traditional circus, but with a decadent twist. The location? Intertel Studios in Wembley, London. Legendary bands like The Who, Jethro Tull, and special guests like Marianne Faithfull and Taj Mahal shared the space with real circus performers, creating a unique spectacle. Jagger didn't just want a rock show, he wanted a theatrical visual experience where each act was presented as part of a grand performance. The Rolling Stones would act as the ringmasters, introducing the artists and even participating in comedic skits between songs. Did you know? The choice of bands was strategic. The Stones aimed for a powerhouse lineup to show they weren't just a band, but the epicenter of a cultural movement. The perfect plan started taking shape on December 11, 1968, when filming began. But what was supposed to be a smooth day turned into a grueling 15-hour marathon, leaving everyone exhausted. The stage was set, the audience was buzzing, and the stars were ready. Or almost. On December 11, 1968, the Rock and Roll Circus came to life with performances that were more than just music. Each act was a show in itself, but what happened backstage was just as chaotic and fascinating. The event kicked off with guest performers bringing diverse styles to the stage. The inaugural performance of the Rock and Roll Circus was by Jethro Tull during a time of significant change for the band. Original guitarist Mick Abrahams had recently departed, and Tony Iommi, future member of Black Sabbath, was brought in as a replacement. Interestingly, Iommi's time with the band lasted only a few weeks, making his presence at the event all the more remarkable. At the Rock and Roll Circus, Jethro Tull performed A Song for Jeffrey. Due to limited rehearsal time, the band opted to mime the track, with Anderson being the only one performing live vocals and flute. This means that although Iommi appeared on stage, the guitar heard during the performance was actually Abraham's. This performance is particularly significant as it marks one of the earliest live recordings of Jethro Tull. Ian Anderson's stage presence, with his iconic one-legged flute-playing stance, captivated the audience and solidified the band's reputation as a rising force in the music scene of the time. Taj Mahal performed the song Ain't That a Lot of Love. It was an energetic start that set the tone for the night. Ain't that a lot of love? 2 parts to have and hold. Next came one of the most talked about performances, The Who. The band, at their peak, delivered a blistering rendition of A Quick One While He's Away. Pete Townshend and company's explosive energy stole the show. Some say their performance overshadowed even the Rolling Stones. Imagine that, the hosts upstaged at their own event. After The Who, the audience was treated to a more introspective moment with Marianne Faithfull. Sitting in the center of the ring, dressed in a stunning purple gown, she performed Something Better, written by Jerry Goffin and Barry Mann, and produced by Mick Jagger.
He walks along, singing his fairy song, picking up my...
The delicate, almost magical performance added an emotional contrast to the night. But the circus had more surprises. One of the most iconic moments was the appearance of the Dirty Mac, a supergroup formed specifically for the event. John Lennon, Keith Richards, Eric Clapton, and Mitch Mitchell from the Jimi Hendrix Experience joined forces to play Year Blues with an intensity that left the audience stunned.
If I ain't dead already.
Did you know? The name Dirty Mac was a cheeky play on Fleetwood Mac's name, coined by Lennon, who loved adding his personal touch to everything. Yoko Ono then took the stage for her experimental performance, Whole Lotta Yoko, backed by the Dirty Mac and violinist Ivry Gitlis. Her avant-garde act polarized the crowd. Some were mesmerized, while others were visibly uncomfortable. After all, her art wasn't for everyone. As the hours dragged on, the backstage atmosphere grew tense. The event, planned to wrap up in a few hours, stretched into a 15-hour ordeal. Scene changes and technical adjustments took longer than expected, leaving artists and the audience exhausted. For the Rolling Stones, the pressure was immense. They were the hosts and needed to end the show on a high note. Brian Jones, already distant from the band, barely participated. He even called director Michael Lindsay Hogg the night before, saying he didn't want to be part of the event. After much persuasion, he reluctantly agreed. This turned out to be his final performance with the Stones before his tragic death 7 months later.
You throw your pearls at swine.
Meanwhile, Mick Jagger worked tirelessly to keep the audience engaged with his near-superhuman charisma. Despite the fatigue etched on his face, he was determined to make the night unforgettable. After hours of anticipation and unforgettable performances, the moment finally arrived. The Rolling Stones took the stage. It was 2 a.m. on December 12, 1968, and the marathon filming session had drained almost everyone, artists, crew, and audience alike. But, as always, Mick Jagger and the band were ready to deliver a show worthy of the event. John Lennon introduced them with his signature wit, and now the Rolling Stones. As the first chords of Jumpin' Jack Flash rang out, the exhaustion seemed to vanish.
I was born in a crossfire hurricane.
The audience, despite their weariness, was electrified by Jagger's infectious energy. The frontman commanded the stage like only he could, captivating everyone. Though visibly tired, the Stones delivered a performance full of attitude. Keith Richards' unmistakable guitar riffs and Charlie Watts' steady drumming anchored the band, while Jagger moved across the stage like a maestro, orchestrating the crowd. The set list included Parachute Woman,
Parachute woman, land on me tonight.
No Expectations,
Our love was like the water.
and You Can't Always Get What You Want,
You can't always get what you want, honey.
showcasing the band's introspective and emotional side. But it was Sympathy for the Devil that truly stole the show.
So let me introduce myself. I'm a man.
In a dramatic gesture, Jagger ripped off his red shirt mid-performance, revealing temporary tattoos, including an image of Lucifer. The theatrical move added a layer of intensity to the act. Did you know? Mick Jagger's temporary tattoos were designed by Michael Lindsay Hogg's wife, adding an artistic flair to the moment. Despite their exhaustion, the band gave it their all. Guest percussionist Kwasi Dzornu added rhythmic layers, enriching the Stones' signature sound. To close the show, the Stones chose a unique approach. Seated among the audience wearing ponchos and hats, they performed Salt of the Earth. The song created a communal, almost spiritual atmosphere, with the crowd singing along. It was the perfect ending to an ambitious and unforgettable event.
Raise your glass to the hard-working people.
The final performance turned the stage into a festive celebration, with artists and guests joining in for a chaotic yet joyful finale. This was the essence of the Rock and Roll Circus, a gathering of creative geniuses united by their passion for music and spectacle. Despite the incredible effort and iconic performances, the Rock and Roll Circus didn't air as planned. Shelving the project was controversial, but several factors explain why this spectacle remained hidden for nearly 3 decades. Mick Jagger cited the Rolling Stones' fatigue as the official reason, feeling they hadn't delivered their best performance. After 15 grueling hours of filming, the physical and emotional toll was evident. Reports suggest the band felt other acts, like The Who, had stolen the spotlight. Adding to the complexity was Brian Jones' deteriorating condition. Struggling with personal and health issues, he was increasingly isolated. His melancholic presence cast a shadow over the event, especially as this was his last performance with the Stones before his untimely death in 1969. Some speculate that technical challenges like lengthy camera changes and audio problems also played a role. The final product didn't meet the Stones' high expectations. The competitive landscape of the time didn't help. With the Beatles' White Album recently released, the Stones felt pressured to deliver something equally groundbreaking. When they realized the Rock and Roll Circus didn't surpass expectations, they decided to shelve it, fearing unfavorable comparisons. For nearly 30 years, the Rock and Roll Circus became a rock legend, shrouded in mystery. Fans speculated about its contents and disappearance. It wasn't until 1993 that lost footage was rediscovered in The Who's archives. Michael Gauchenour and Robin Klein led a restoration effort, and the film premiered in 1996 at the New York Film Festival. The reception was triumphant. Critics and fans hailed the event as a unique snapshot of rock's golden age, capturing the creative and experimental spirit of the late 1960s. The Dirty Mac's performance became legendary, and The Who's energy was revisited as one of live music's greatest moments. In 2019, the film was remastered in high definition and released in select theaters with Dolby Atmos sound, introducing the Rock and Roll Circus to a new generation of fans. Today, the Rock and Roll Circus is more than just a show. It's a historic document that encapsulates the essence of an era. It showcases the meeting of creative geniuses in a singular moment where music and performance blended almost magically. It also reminds us of the humanity behind rock legends, from exhaustion to brilliance, competition to camaraderie.